This story is based on a real incident. It was a dark and stormy night, one of those rare nights when the air feels heavy with an almost palpable sense of unease. The kind of night that makes you wonder if something is hiding just out of sight. The wind howled through the trees and rain slashed against windows, leaving a trail of water down the glass. In a quiet suburban neighborhood in Shelby, North Carolina, where the sounds of nature would normally offer a sense of peace, there was only silence. Inside a modest home on Oakcrest Drive, the Degree family was unaware that their world was about to be shattered. Harold and Aquila Degree, along with their two children, O'Brien and Asha, had settled in for the night. The house, though simple, was full of love. The children had returned from church that Sunday evening and gone to bed like any other night. The storm outside was relentless, but inside all was calm. But something was off. Asha Degree, just 9 years old, had always been the quiet one. She was shy, careful, and followed the rules. She had a soft, innocent smile that could light up a room and a heart full of dreams. Asha was just like any other child, except she wasn't. Her mind seemed filled with a quiet restlessness that no one could quite understand. Something deep inside her was beginning to stir that night, and nobody saw it coming. Around 2:30 a.m., when the storm was at its peak, Harold checked on the children. Both of them were sound asleep in their shared bedroom. But just hours later, something unimaginable happened. O'Brien, still in his own slumber, heard the faint sound of Asha's bed creaking. He thought she was simply shifting in her sleep, but he was wrong. In the darkness of the night, Asha was not shifting in bed. She was getting up. Asha had been preparing for this moment for days, perhaps even longer. A quiet and secret plan had been brewing in her young mind. She grabbed a book bag she had packed in advance. No one knew what was inside it, but she had taken it with her. The bag seemed to contain just enough clothing and items to suggest that this wasn't some spontaneous act. She had made a decision, and she was following through with it. As the minutes passed, Asha's small form slipped out of the house, unnoticed by her sleeping family. She didn't leave a note. There was no sign of struggle, no cry for help, just a small, terrified child stepping into the stormy night alone. By 3:45 a.m., she was spotted. A truck driver driving down Highway 18 saw a child walking alone in the pouring rain, drenched from head to toe. The driver, confused and concerned, did a double take. It was strange. This young girl, wearing a white t-shirt and pants, barely visible in the storm, walking along the highway at this hour. The driver circled back, thinking the child might need help. But as he approached, she did something that would haunt him forever. The girl turned and fled into the woods. He couldn't understand why she ran. Was she scared? Did she know something he didn't? Asha had vanished into the darkness of the woods, and the storm swallowed her whole. When Aquila woke up at 5:45 a.m., it was like any other day. The power had gone out the night before, but now it was time to get the kids ready for school. She called out to them, expecting to hear the sounds of the usual morning routine. But when she opened the door to Asha and O'Brien's room, her heart skipped a beat. O'Brien was still asleep in his bed, but Asha was gone. She looked around, checked the house, the cars, the neighborhood, but there was no sign of her daughter. Panic set in. Aquila called Harold, and together they began searching. The minutes stretched into hours, each one more agonizing than the last. They thought perhaps Asha had gone to her grandmother's house across the street, but when they called, the answer was no. There was no trace of Asha. She was gone. Desperate, Aquila ran outside, calling Asha's name into the morning air. It felt like the world had stopped spinning, as if time itself was holding its breath. The neighbors came out, and soon the whole block was searching. But by the time the police arrived at 6:40 a.m., there was still no sign of Asha. Search dogs were brought in to help, but they couldn't pick up any scent. It was as if Asha had vanished into thin air. The local police scoured the area, but all they found was a mitten, one that didn't belong to Asha. They found nothing that would explain her disappearance. The following morning, 2 motorists came forward, reporting that they had seen Asha walking along the highway during the early hours of the morning, just before she disappeared. One of them even tried to approach her. He thought it was strange, this little girl walking alone in the storm. But before he could do anything, she ran into the woods, disappearing as if the darkness had swallowed her whole. By the time the search effort was called off a week later, 9,000 man-hours had been invested. Flyers had been posted, 300 tips had been called in, but no one knew where she had gone. No one had any idea what had happened to her. All they knew was that Asha Degree had vanished, and with her disappearance, a terrifying mystery began to unfold. The authorities quickly suspected that Asha hadn't run away, despite the evidence suggesting she had packed a bag. Something didn't feel right. The more they dug into Asha's life, the more they realized there was no clear reason for her to run away. She had no issues at home. Her family was loving and stable. She wasn't having trouble at school. She wasn't angry or upset. Everything seemed fine. But there was a sinister feeling lingering in the air. Something was wrong, and it was too quiet. It was as if someone had taken her, and perhaps they had been watching her long before that night. Was it an abduction? Had Asha been taken by someone she knew? Or was there something even darker at play? The days turned into weeks and the search continued, but the trail went cold. Then, in May 2001, something strange happened. During a construction project near Morganton, workers uncovered Asha's book bag, wrapped in black trash bags, buried in the ground. The discovery was eerie, a piece of Asha's life, hidden away in a desolate place. Inside, investigators found a copy of McElligot's Pool, a Dr. Seuss book from Asha's school library. They also found a t-shirt of a popular boy band, New Kids on the Block. Neither of these items had belonged to Asha before they were found in her bag. It was a strange, unsettling clue, but it didn't lead them to the answers they so desperately needed. As the years passed, the case grew colder and the leads dried up. No one knew where Asha was or what had happened to her. No one could explain why she had left that night, why she had vanished without a trace. Then, in 2015, the FBI took over the case. They began re-examining the evidence and re-interviewing witnesses. They even offered a reward for information that could lead to the resolution of the case, but the answers remained elusive. In 2020, after 2 decades of silence, the FBI confirmed that Asha's book bag held more secrets than anyone had realized. The mystery deepened. The most disturbing theory surfaced in 2024 when authorities began reclassifying the case as a homicide investigation. Suspects were named. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly falling into place, but still, no one could say for sure what had happened to Asha. The idea that she might have been murdered was more terrifying than anyone had imagined. Was she alive, hiding somewhere, waiting to be found? Or had she met a darker fate, one that no one could have foreseen? The search continues. The mystery remains. Every year, Asha's family holds a walk in her memory, a desperate attempt to keep her story alive. But the truth is still out there, hidden in the shadows. What happened to Asha Degree? No one knows for sure. And maybe, just maybe, that's the most terrifying part of all. If you found this story haunting and thought-provoking, make sure to subscribe to Open Files of True Horror, hit the notification bell, and share with others who need to hear it.